Helps if you're not on mute. Welcome back for the second time this week. We continue our journey to find the experts in product lifecycle management. This is Working in PLM 4.0. Last week, we talked to Khalifa Diop, one of our fast-rising 3D experience solution architects. And this week, we're talking to one of my XDI heroes. This gentleman started out in 2000 with Dassault Systèmes as an application engineer, rising fast to the position of brand manager for Dassault for Latin America. Since then, he has dedicated himself to the manufacturing and becoming one of the leading experts in DELMIA digital manufacturing. I've had the great pleasure of working with Omar for now over 2 years, and I know of no one with the same level of passion for his craft as Omar. I've seen him start work at 2:30 in the morning and continues to do that and regularly push out unrivaled hours in his pursuit of delivering nothing but the very best for his customers. It's an honor to welcome a true professional. Ready, set, let's go. Welcome, Omar.
Hi, Andrew.
Good day, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Good. It's 10 a.m. in, on Friday, you got it. It's 10 a.m. in Mexico City. I have a feeling you've probably already done a full day's work. Am I right?
Yes. You mentioned before, I start working at 2 a.m. in the morning for this project we're working on.
Yep.
But yeah, it is very, very satisfying. Yes.
But you get a little time with your family, I guess, if you can knock off early, if that's the right term. So it kind of works out well for you, I guess.
Yeah, it's working pretty well. I mean, after my day ends, I take some rest, and
Yep.
I'm ready to go through the rest of the day
Do a
with
little
my
bit
family.
more.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Good. All righty. So Omar, we've worked together for a little while, but I want to make sure we really understand what you do and some of the expertise that you've been bringing to the table and what it's all about. So tell us more about what exactly you do.
Well, currently I'm a consultant in digital manufacturing for XDI innovation. My main responsibility is to guide our customers, clients on the best practice to optimize their process. For this, rely on tools such as simulation, information management, and others that are widely known as PLM, product lifecycle management.
Got it. So, but when you say digital manufacturing, what does that actually mean?
Well, digital manufacturing, the technical definition is the integrated use of system, process, products, and tools with a strong link to computer systems. Okay, and I think two of the most well-known applications are discrete and robotic simulation studies.
Right, got it. Okay, and a little earlier you mentioned best practices. What exactly is meant by best practices these days in digital manufacturing?
Well, best practice, for our customers, we guide them on, for example, how to implement predictive maintenance, to avoid costly breakdowns, to avoid bottlenecks, optimizing workstation to benefit the entire production line. Also, how to maintain a good product flow, ensuring continuous material flow, and to eliminate a working process or intermediate storage. Okay, but one of the most interesting thing is the engineering collaboration, and now the digital twin for fast prototyping, virtual production, configuration, and digital product modeling, basically.
Yeah. There is a huge amount going on in manufacturing these days. I mean, COVID's driven it. It's speeded a lot of the kind of digital technologies up, the Industry 4 technologies. You mentioned digital twin, there's virtual twin, digital continuity, and we can go on and on in that 4.0 world. But I understand the excitement today. where did it start from? Why did you want to become a solution architect in the first place?
Well, more than wanting to become a solution architect, in my case, I consider that it was a gradual transition toward this position. Right, since the beginning of my career, the need to put together a solution for a client has always been present. It doesn't matter if this is a small simulation project to optimize a cell, a line, or a huge factory, or to implement a full PLM, full-blown PLM system. You always have to work and coordinate with different areas of the company, just to ensure that there is that you have the complete vision of the requirements on objectives.
Gotcha. So, but how did it actually start out? Did you accidentally fall into being an architect? What were the kind of the steps that you went through to get there?
Well, I mean, this is not an accident, and the position is well known now as a solution architect. But as I said before, my first job was doing simulation projects. And one of the first activities that I had to it was to recommend a computer that was capable of running the application that we use. Yeah, so you can
Yep.
think of that as the small starting point on my career, that I was
Okay.
starting to become a solution architect. And as my
Yep.
activities expanded with the PLM, arrival PLM, uh, I found myself dealing with topics like database server configuration, communication between applications, security, user management. Okay, and now more recently with software development methodologies, system administration task. Um, but everything is the same goal to ensure that everything works together.
Yeah. So it felt like more of a kind of an evolution to what you were going through. You started out very much in the trenches, right there, deep in the thick of things, both from a manufacturing and even an infrastructure perspective, by the sounds of it. So, given all of that, what do you figure are the main challenges of being a solution architect today?
Well, one of the main challenge as a solution architect face is communication, right? Is asking the right questions and have the ability to listen.
Yeah.
This leads to an understanding to understand the business objectives and his strategy. It will also allow us to dimension the services that are going to be proposed and their characteristics, the characteristics and function that need to be included. A key point here is that we need to be also to be able to explain the value of the architecture that we want to propose for these services to non-technical stakeholders of the project.
Got it. So I think you've just defined the architectural piece compared to maybe a software architect, etc. It's that ability to go all the way up to the business and bring it all the way down to a technical level and have an understanding of that. But how do you go about that communication? What is your approach to that whole thing?
Well, I'm a very technical person in the details. At the beginning, I was specific when presenting results or gathering information, so much that sometimes I did not get the information I expected, or the feedback was not so good. Right,
Yes.
but with the help of my colleagues and mentors, they'll help me to improve that skill. But some point that I can give our attendees today is that you always need to keep in mind that you must know the level of the people with whom we are going to interact. We do not use the same language to speak with the CEO of the company, or with the design engineer, or with finance, right? We need to keep the use of technical language to a minimum, and explain any technical terms that are absolutely necessary to use. But we don't want to assume whether or not someone knows what we are talking about.
Gotcha. So communications is a big one. I couldn't agree more. It's the big one. What other challenges are you seeing?
Okay, well, from a technical point of view, you will always have to deal with legacy system, right? Uh, and methods and process that companies are actually implementing or using. Also, integration with other systems such as ERP, MES system, automation. and always keep in mind that data and security application, that is also a very big topic right now. You need to be. We can remember several recent security breaches due to a non-secure environment for some of the major companies. So that is also a very huge topic right now, protecting the integrity of the data and information from our customers.
Got it. Got it. Any other solutions, challenges out there, you think?
Yeah, well, I mean, part of this challenge are you need to also to keep in mind that the systems are evolving too fast, right? And you also need
Yeah.
to be able to keep up to date with those developments. So you need
Right.
to stay up to date with your skills and be willing and able to learn new things.
Yeah. Yeah. So how do you stay up to date in, as you say, rapidly evolving, new technologies coming in, new functionality? How do you stay up to date with that? Have you got some kind of tricks and techniques that you do for doing that?
Well, so the answer, one of the answer is to always, of course, to be prepared, right? Like the Boy Scouts. So I mentioned staying updated is very vital. But we have a great availability of resources that we have access right now. I think that it makes easier for people like us to stay updated, but also companies. Consultancy companies, and also not only consultancy companies but our own customers need to be aware that they need to develop this skill on their own with their own staff. Okay.
Yeah.
For example, one thing that I'm doing is I'm always reading. I read a lot, but not only about my specialty of my field. I try to understand what other areas do, like finance, topics like change management. As I mentioned before, we don't want to become an expert because that is not possible. You always have a very specific area on perhaps on which you are an expert, but knowing at least the fundamentals for other areas always helps. And if I want to learn about,
So just quick one thing.
yeah,
You mentioned you even research finance. So you're talking about that integration into the ERP place, the financials, the controlling modules. Is that what you mean?
yes, I mean, you need to be aware how the finance works, right? Because when
Yeah.
we are working with dealing to send information to an ERP, if you don't know what we are talking about or what the other people is talking about, you will lost, and you
Yeah.
will end perhaps making some mistakes along the way. So we want to minimize this in at least to have a little more background. And if you don't know something, it's okay to ask. I mean,
Yeah.
that is for these projects.
You bet. You bet. And how else do you keep up to date?
Yeah, well, if I want to learn about that topic for my own interest or for the requirements of a project, what works in my case is to look for some resource to practice. I read about the specific topic, and if it's something technical, I look to take an online course. Finding any information available on the internet to practice. I only learn if I do something by myself.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And as it says there, we're gonna, we've got an audience here, and I know you love to kind of train, mentor others that are rising through the ranks that like you once did. What would your advice be to people who want to become a solution architect?
Well, I have always considered that in this area we are more generalist than a specialist, right? Of course, we have you finish a degree, you study a career, but in order to become a solution architect, you need to acquire or develop knowledge from other fields, right? You need to know about software development, programming, project management, the methodologies used of these fields. Okay, not just because you will be programming, or you in some projects you need to take some practical role, right, to deliver something
Yep.
to support your coworkers, but uh, and you need to be familiar and proficient with these tools, things like server configuration, knowledge of Windows, sometimes Linux, database. So you need to be I mentioned you need to be to know a lot of things in order to understand how this thing will work together, and to be able to put a solution or to build a solution for the customer, for the project.
Got it. Very good.
Yeah.
Very
Also,
good.
yeah.
You need to
So
be pretty tough. I think, I mean, I've got, I mean, I don't know how you handle, because let's be honest, we've never known a project that just goes plain sailing all the way. There's always problems. There's always challenges. How do you kind of get back up every time you meet those challenges?
well, you must be resilient, right? This is a word that, especially on this, for the past 2 years, has been talking about a lot. You need
Yeah.
to be resilient. So the resilient is not that you need to support everything, but you need to, if something goes wrong, yes, that is something that always happen on, not only on project but also in life, and you need to be
Yeah.
resilient to be able to come back from something from something bad, right? And to come back strong. But it's also okay. I mean, it's also okay to ask for help. But also, in those kind of projects in this field, you also will be expending some time away from your family to work in this
Yeah.
project. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's not like you want to put to give your life away. That is very this is a very quick way to burn yourself out. Okay.
Yeah.
So you need to find the balance with your personal life, put time with your family, enjoy your hobbies, just take a rest, because there is nothing more dangerous than letting the work to consume you. So,
Yeah.
but this is a rewarding work. I mean, this working on this field, well, not manufacturing, but in general as a solution architect, is a very rewarding field, because you get to work with a lot of people from different backgrounds and learn a lot of things along the way.
Great. Great. Good. No, it is a challenge. I know. I mean, I just know how much you consume in terms of knowledge and latest technical data. I see you go at that consistently, but then, yeah, you got to shut it down at some point and go spend time with your daughter or your wife, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, it is a challenge. I appreciate it. What do you think are, if you were to pick kind of the top three, what are the top three skills, attributes needed to be a really good DELMIA solution architect?
Well, the one, I think one of the most important is to know a lot about the field that you are working on. If you are working on aerospace, you need to be knowledgeable about the process and tools used in that industry. Same for
Yeah.
automotive. Of course, there will be some times that you will work outside of your comfort zone or the industry that you are more used to work with. But I mean, that is also part of the challenge, part of this position, right?
Yeah.
So first, know the process, know the tools, know the terminology. Of course, the second is to know the platform, because we want to be sure that the recommendation that we are giving to our customers are according to what is possible to do in the platform. So that is the second one. And the third, but not less important, is to be willing to learn and to come to with new skills fast. So having the ability to absorb the knowledge and put that knowledge to work for the project, for the customer, for you, is also a very important skill.
Got it. Good. Good. So the one thing I know about you, and by the way, just Khalifa last week, thank you, sir. Yeah, he agrees. Resilient is critical. Appreciate that. Thank you. So the one thing I know about you, Omar, is you are one of the most inquisitive minds out there. You never stop kind of delving into new areas of learnings. You're always trying to find out a little bit more, trying to dive into those new areas. You seem to be incredibly passionate about what you do. Is that a fair assumption?
Yes, I mean, I can say that I'm passionate about what I do. I would be on this profession if I weren't. And there are certainly times that you want to throw it all out of the window. But I think that, again, resilience is the ability to recognize when you need to take a break and rethink, to focus again on the work. This is a very because that is a very important part of staying motivated.
Yeah.
So you want to keep yourself on the game. So you need to also to know when to retire for a bit, to take a rest.
You bet. You bet. Let's step back. Look, you tend to work on challenging programs. It's hard to find one more challenging, broader, deeper than the one I know you're working on right now. Tell us a little bit more about what you are working on today.
Well, I'm working currently for a large automotive company. Part of the team, as I'm a consultant, and I'm part of the team that is implementing the change management process tool from 3D Experience for the manufacturing area. And in parallel, on the same for the same company, and but in another project, I'm working with a team that is dealing to import legacy CATIA V5 data into 3D Experience. So, as I mentioned before, we need to work with different teams with different areas. But also it's very rewarding because you see firsthand how all the companies are producing the product that we use in our daily lives.
Yeah,
So it's a very rewarding work. Yeah.
Got it. So how are you then flowing that into that digital manufacturing piece? How is that flowing into there? What kind of things are you about to start working on?
Well, for example, for the change management part, normally when there is a change on the engineering, on design, we need to be sure that the impacts that change will have not only on the bill of manufacturing bill of materials or MBOM, but also how that will affect our process, because a small change on the design side could have a greater implication not only on the manufacturing side. You are sourcing that part from a supplier, and then the change say the engineering team say that the company will produce that part. Now we need to be sure that we take that into account when planning the process, to see if the tooling need to be modified to account for the modification to the part. So what could be seen as a small change on the engineering side could have a bigger implication on the manufacturing side. And that is always, I think, one of the challenge that companies are facing, not only today, but has been always the need to be to communicate with the design across all the company, across all the departments, areas on the company, right?
Yeah. And are you starting to look at some point cascading that into the MOM layer, into that MES layer? Are you starting to look at bidirectional into ERP?
Yeah, I mean, if there is a change, like I mentioned before, if the part is changing to make to buy, that need to be also translated or to sent to the ERP, because the ERP will be the planning and also the costing part of the process, and also the MES automation need to be informed about the change, because again the change perhaps there will be a need for a new tooling on the line. Okay, that is not yet part of the process. So there is a lot of implication. So as I mentioned before, this is dealing with a lot of systems that you must many people tend to work only on specific areas, but solution architect, we tend to work with all the areas involved, and we need to be sure that the solution is capable of managing these cases.
It's great. Delmar, sorry, Omar. It's been I'm obsessed by the DELMIA side. So Omar, it's been a pleasure. Fascinating learning a little bit more about the big world that you are part of, and driving design in those areas. So appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Look forward to catching up with you over the next few days. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. It's been a pleasure to be here today with the audience.
Great. Thanks, Omar.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. That was Omar Salinas, Senior Solution Architect, DELMIA 3D Experience, XDI, a world of knowledge, and doing a great job for us. Really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Next week, we're going to start looking into the engineering side of things, not just the implementation side of things, with also one of my colleagues who's got a world of electric vehicle transport and mobility background into aerospace and defense. So a lot of that whole discrete manufacturing. come back to see us next week. Have a great week ahead. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.